In this video we're going to go over reconciliations, which you're going to do at admission, at transfer, and at discharge. Not only are these important clinically to make sure that your patient is getting the right orders at the right time, they are also required. The other piece we'll go over is the medication history, which should be done before any of these steps. So here we have a patient, and we are admitting this patient. So the first step is the medication history. So sometimes you're lucky and somebody does this for you and you don't have to do it. But you do want to make sure that the history is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and launch to the medication history here. Let's say I ask this patient and they say they haven't taken the gabapentin in 3 years and nobody has removed it from their medication list, so I am going to go ahead and do that. And then let's say instead of that they are taking ibuprofen, and I will go ahead and sign the medication history when I've gotten the complete history from the patient. Now typically the next step is the admission medication reconciliation. So this is required on all admissions. The best time to do this is before you write any other orders. So it's much easier if you do it before other orders. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on the admission reconciliation, and you can choose to continue. This patient got a few medication orders written in the emergency room, and I can choose to continue those since they haven't been administered yet. They're one-time orders though. And then I can decide whether to continue. I'll go ahead and continue the ibuprofen. And I'm going to discontinue the propranolol, and I'm going to reconcile and sign. And as you can see, every time I do one of these steps, this little checkbox shows up here and turns green, which means I've done that step. So the transfer reconciliation you don't have to do on every patient, you just have to do on every transfer. So they have to be done on every transfer to a different level of care. Step up, step down, and that includes post-delivery patients for OB and post-surgery patients for patients that are inpatients, go to the operating room, and then need to go back to the floor. You have to do a transfer order reconciliation, and this one reconciles all orders, not just medications. And so with this, you will see all of the patient's orders, and you can choose whether to continue those or stop them. In certain situations, it's best, I'm going to cancel this here and show you, it's best to go ahead and cancel any power plans that you know you don't need. So let's say I know that I'm going to discontinue these emergency room orders before I place my new transfer orders. And then I'm going to go back and do the transfer reconciliation. Oh, I didn't sign my orders here. Finish signing my orders. Let me just make sure that that worked. Okay, now that's done. I'll go back to the workflow page, and I'm going to do my transfer reconciliation. And you can see, since I canceled those other orders, this is actually quite a bit easier. And I can choose to continue or discontinue any of the outpatient orders on this. And those I actually have to address. So if there's something that it says there's a required reconciled orders, it's usually one of their outpatient medications. So I still don't want this patient on the propranolol, so I'm going to click discontinue. And then look through here. These are a bunch of automatic orders, and I think I probably want to continue those. So I'm going to go ahead and reconcile and sign those. Now, the transfer reconciliation doesn't have a green checkbox because you may have to do it multiple times. Patients get transferred to a higher level of care, they get transferred to a lower level of care, they might go to the OR multiple times. So it doesn't have a checkbox, but you still need to do it. If you don't do the transfer reconciliation before placing the transfer order, you'll get a pop-up that reminds you that you're supposed to place that reconciliation. So definitely go back and place that reconciliation. Not doing that is a good way for the patient to end up on the wrong medications. I've seen patients written for Pitocin for multiple days after their delivery because that reconciliation wasn't done. If you want to see whether somebody else did it or whether you did it, you can always go to this view details here. And so on here it gives the time and who did the reconciliation and what reconciliation was performed. So the one that we have left here is the discharge medication reconciliation. So the discharge reconciliation is just a medication reconciliation, and it will default all home medications to continue and all hospital medications to discontinue. And so if you want the patient to continue a hospital medication, then you need to click the continue button. If you want the patient to discontinue the medication, you want to click the discontinue medication. So you do want to review this, you want to review each of these, and you want to make sure it's correct. Why? Well, this is what gets printed out on the patient's instructions when they go home. And patients actually do look at that, and so if the bottles of their medications are different than their instructions, who knows what they will take, and it can cause patient harm that way. So I'm going to go ahead and reconcile this, and I'm going to refresh this component, and you can see there's the little green checkbox for discharge here. I'm just going to show you a couple of other things. You can see that I did this from the home medications box on the workflow page. I can also do it from the medications box on the workflow page. You can see that one has all of the same items on it. And if you really want to, you can do it from orders. You can document medication by history, and you can do admission, transfer, or discharge reconciliations from the orders tab. And if you have done these, there is a reconciliation history here, and you can see the history and the reconciliations that were performed. So those are the different ways you can do it. I clearly recommend doing it from the workflow pages, but it's easy to do it from either one. So those are all of the different kinds of reconciliations, and please do them or continue to do them for our patients. Thank you.